Can Eddie and Frank and all the promoters be included in that? Help that? Is there going to be some sort of exec board? Are they going to be doing their own thing? Are they going to, I wouldn't say rebel against it, but are they going to be concentrating on what they do? And there's separate things going on. We don't know yet at the moment. If Turki Al-Sheikh has been very, very aggressive in this first year and a half in a very charming and wonderful way because he's a fight fan and getting the best fighting the best, but he's putting himself there. So you know how important it is when you see people with Turki and the pictures that you get and all the celebrities he's talking to and all the important people he's talking to, very, very smart guys. And I think it's really interesting to see what happens and how he goes and what Dana's strategy will be. Is it going to be exactly like the UFC, similar? But remember, he's taking a sport which they said needs changing. Turki has already changed it in the last year and a half. So he set a sort of standard. Is he just going to continue and sort of plow through it till they get sort of what they want, provided fighters and fans are looked after and everybody else fits in some way, shape, or form, or whether they do separate things or whether they're all together? Will Dana work with Eddie and Frank and Spencer? And we don't know yet. Will they do their own thing? Will they decide to do other things because now boxing is moving in a different direction? Too early to comment on all of that. But very exciting news. Change is great. Evolving is great. You're looking at judging, you look at anything that is going to be better for the sport. Fantastic. But fundamentally, it is about fighters getting in a ring and putting their lives and their careers on the line for their purposes, their professionalism, and for our entertainment. And we should always remember that. There is huge history to this sport, which should be remembered. That's why I go back to Ring Magazine, brilliant move. We've got the Ring Magazine. Now, let's see what Dana and Turki come up with, and we'll learn more about it with Nick Khan and very, very bright people that they've got involved in this. But how is it going to work globally, and how will the promoters and the governing bodies, the commissions and everyone else be affected? Are they going to work with? Are they going to embrace it? Or is it going to be a different sort of future? Very, very interesting.
Dana has made it quite clear in the press conferences that he's done since the announcement that he doesn't really want to work with the other promoters and kind of wants to have it as his own thing. How big of a threat could Dana be to the likes of Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, and those promoters working with Riyadh Season and Turki Al-Sheikh right now?
I think Dana's been dancing around boxing for a long time, and I think it's, from a sort of neutral point of view, it'll be a breath of fresh air in a way. I love Frank, I love Eddie, I love Oscar. They're great promoters, but I would love to see Dana do it as well. If that's the case, does he not want to work with the others? That's their business. I don't know what their plans are. I'm fascinated to find out. But yeah, do I think that it will be disruptive? Probably. I think His Excellency coming in has been brilliantly disruptive. It's had to be disruptive to get what he wants and his vision. Now Dana's with him, and their vision, presumably, is to build the UFC of boxing or something like that, where it's under one roof, one umbrella. And he's been sort of laying the foundations in the last year and a half, getting the guys all to work together. We'll have a fight from that stable and a camp, and it works, or it's working. So that's there. They've now got the Ring Magazine in place. They've got Ring Magazine events going off around the world. America seems to be becoming more of a central place now with what's happening in New York and the Alcatraz stuff. So obviously that's where Dana, comes from. And obviously America is going to be a big site, I think, for this. But we don't know. We don't know. That's what Dana says. Maybe tomorrow it'll be slightly different. And remember, Eddie and Frank and Ben, they've all got lots of fighters. So what's going to happen there? They're contracted to their businesses. So it's very interesting to see what happens. And a lot of fighters have worked really hard to get up rankings of WBO, WBC, IBF, WBA. What's all that? What's going to happen? Is that suddenly going to just puff away? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a very interesting rebuild. But yeah, look, if they can make it simpler for the fans and for the fighters and one champion and all that, that's what we've always wanted. Maybe these are the people, maybe Turki and Dana are the people that are going to get it right. And no one has maybe have the finances or the real want to be that massive disruptor. But it's exciting times either way, and it's very interesting times. I don't see why, whether it's a worry for the promoters, Frank and Eddie, and they're big guys, right? They've got big businesses. They've been extremely successful, and I'm sure they will continue to be successful in whatever area they go to. Eddie's not just boxing; he's got a huge amount of other things. So there's lots of ways of looking at this. But Frank's got a big job on DAZN. He's moving his whole stable there. DAZN seems to be the head of combat sports. Sky and Box are putting on great shows. There's lots of good things happening in the UK. Maybe America is the area that needs more attention. Germany, there's other areas around the world that could do with a sort of lift, and maybe this is what's going to give us a global home. But it's going to be a process, but it's going to be a lot of fun watching.
So we've seen most major promoters are now under that DAZN banner and have their shows on there. How will this emergence of TKO affect the broadcaster?
We're not sure. We don't know what TKO is going to be on. Is it going to be on DAZN? Is it going to be on ESPN? Is it going to be on Amazon, on Netflix, on Sky? Who knows what it's going to be on? That's for the broadcasters to discuss with His Excellency and Dana. I mean, DAZN have been doing the shows. They're the host broadcasters at the moment. And His Excellency has been very pleased with the DAZN coverage. I know that. You see Len Blavatnik sitting with him, but I'm sure there's a lot of conversations that are going to be had. But I think we just got to focus on what we've got, which is DAZN have got huge amounts of boxing coming up, which is fantastic for fans. Sky have got a lot of boxing coming up. Channel 5 have got boxing coming up. It's great, isn't it? We wait and see what TNT do after the Warren deal expired. But yeah, there's boxing everywhere. So it's great. It's great to have a choice, I think, for customers. But ultimately, DAZN seem to be becoming the sort of home of combat sports. So if you want to have your subscription, you're going to get a lot of boxing. Is TKO going to be something separate? Is it going to be together? I think we've got to wait and see on that. And that'll be very interesting to see where it lands. But I always like competition. I remember when Eddie learned that Frank was going to do something with TNT or Box Nation or something, and we were like, oh, wow, what's that going to mean? And, you like competition because it drives your own business, makes your own business better, to try and rival the competition, get ahead of it. But then it's been a weird world recently because all the promoters have been working together. It's almost like, and the pay-per-views have been on Sky and Shared and DAZN, and who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 to 5 years. But it looks like big changes. And as I say, let's embrace change. You've got to adapt in life. I had to adapt after when I left Sky. I was like, okay, I'm a freelancer now. You've got to adapt. I'm sure you've adapted in jobs. I had to adapt to my cancer. I got a stoma. It's difficult to live with, but you've got to accept it. You've got to change. So I embrace change. If it's for the good of the fighters in boxing and it's for the good of the fans, fine. Let's get on with it.
Just two more from me. Obviously, we know that Turkey's going to be alongside Dana White through this process. How much power would you feel Dana White is going to hold once he hits the ground running in boxing?
I mean, you'd have thought it's a great deal because was His Excellency not the number one in all the ratings of the most powerful person in boxing in just a year or so? I mean, extraordinary, really, what he's done, and has become the main man, I guess, the main person to be around because he is backing it up. He's putting on what he said.